What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics show. The 2025 MLB trade deadline has come and gone, although I'm sure we'll see a couple more trades leak through the MLB's commissioner's office in the next couple of minutes as we're live here, Scotty. But the Phillies make two moves at the deadline, both with the Minnesota Twins. Yesterday afternoon, last night, acquiring Jhoan, Duran, closer from the Minnesota Twins, top 5 closer in all of baseball, one of the game's best. And then today, they get their right-handed bat, Scotty. It's not what everyone wanted. It's not really what you and I were expecting or wanting as well. It is an upgrade. We're going to talk about the trade for Harrison Bader, a guy that's been linked to coming here since Dombrowski's been in Philadelphia over the last 2 or 3 off seasons or trade deadlines, excuse me. But as always, we are live here on the DSM-Media Philadelphia YouTube and Twitter channel. So guys, do us a favor, make sure to follow us on Twitter at DSM_media is where you can find us. The link tree in our bio will take you to every social media platform we're on. Make sure to tap into that YouTube link specifically. It is the best and only spot to get your thoughts, comments, questions, like you can see on the screen here, and be interactive with us. My man, happy Thursday. Welcome back from Mexico. Hope the trip was awesome. But we got a lot to talk about with the second half of this Philly season quickly approaching into tomorrow post-deadline.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Happy to be back for sure. As you mentioned, big day with it being the MLB trade deadline day. This is a day that I know many Phillies fans have been kind of waiting on. Some waiting to even pass judgment on the team until after the trade deadline because they knew that wouldn't be the final product. At the end of the day, they made moves, whether you think they were enough or not. They are a better team today than they were a week ago, you could say. I think that's the baseline for me today. But yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be back on the show. We got football training camp getting started, so we'll be digging into that in the coming episodes. Obviously, Sixers getting in the training facilities. We'll be talking about them a little bit as time goes on. But for now, we stick with the Fightins and get ready for this a little under or a little over second half of baseball.
It's less than 50% of the season. People look at the All-Star break and the trade deadline kind of as that midway point. But it is, I mean, God, they're what, 61 and 47 or something at this point.
61 and 47.
So, you know, they're over 105 games played. So yeah, they're well over the 50% mark. So it's not really the second half, but I think everyone kind of gets the gist here, man. But heading into this deadline, you're right. I think people were kind of waiting, or at least most people, myself included, I think, were waiting to judge this team at 6 p.m. July 31st because we kind of knew and expected Dave Dombrowski to at least be somewhat active. How active, we weren't sure. Yesterday, the big splash comes. They get their guy, they get their closer in Jhoan Duran with a 2.01 on the season. Scotty, this dude's electric. Not only is his entrance electric, which is going to be absolutely bonkers at CBP and especially in October, but he just consistently pumps 100, 102. I've seen clips of him pumping 104, 105 and burying guys. He throws what's called a splinker, which is the mix of a splitter and a sinker, and then he gets that curveball into the mid to high 80s, Scotty. Do you know that? Mid to high 80s compared to 105. This dude is disgusting. He's one of the game's best. It is going to go down, in my opinion. He hasn't even thrown a pitch in pinstripes yet, as one of the better trade deadline acquisitions in Phillies history, especially coming out of the pen. Jonathan Papelbon, slide on over. This is an absolute treat, and probably their biggest need, right? Let's be honest. They needed a guy to shut down games. I don't need to see him in a big spot in the 7th inning, Rob. I don't need to see him come in with the bases loaded in the 6th inning, Rob. I need Jhoan Duran closing games out in the 9th inning. That's what he is brought here to do. Scotty, he has succeeded in 74 of 83 save attempts in his career. He's one of the game's best. He's going to be disgusting. And that was the biggest move, obviously, that the Phillies made. In return, they give up Mick Abel through a couple games in the big leagues this year. I think everyone liked Mick Abel. You kind of saw him come back down to earth after battling with Paul Skeens earlier in the spring in his debut. The command issues, stuff like that, that kind of got his stock driven down last year at the deadline. And then Eduardo Tait, 18, 19-year-old catching prospect. That's what has some people up in arms. I'm glad to see it's not a majority of the fan base.
Yeah.
If you are mad about giving up Eduardo Tait, I mean, just tell me how much baseball you've watched Eduardo Tait play. The kid's 4, 5, 6 years away from even being on the roster. And the biggest thing I'm throwing to you, I know I'm rambling here. I know I'm talking about how great Jhoan Duran is, but the most important thing, Scotty, is 2 more years of control. This is not a rental. The Phillies have Jhoan Duran as their guy, as their closer in the 9th inning for the next 2 seasons. That is the biggest piece of this, and it's the only reason those 2 prospects were given up by Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. And the other thing that I'll throw out, along with the numbers you threw out, man, is the guy that was leading the Phillies in saves this season was Jordan Romano. So just to put it in perspective
says it all,
of where the Phillies were before the Duran trade. So I'm with you there. And I think to Abe's question earlier, who are you more excited? I think you could tell, Abe, who Dylan's more excited for. The Duran trade is definitely the one
it's the guy that's top 3 or 5 at his position.
Exactly. And it's one that shores up if you put the bullpen with the starting pitching together, pitching as a whole, it shores up that strength of yours as you get closer and closer to entering the postseason. What I wanted to ask you is, what is the NFL equivalent or the NBA equivalent of a trade like this? And it could be just a player, like getting said player at the deadline. What would you compare it to in NFL or NBA terms? And I know it's hard because he's a closer, right? So we don't have to compare like how much he'll play versus that said player. But I don't know.
I don't know that I can give you a player. I'm going to steal this because I did see this yesterday, and I think it was a great kind of equivalent. And I don't know if I am stealing it from Phil. It could have been his tweet. I forget. So I want to give credit where it's due. But closer, like running back in the NFL, where when they're on bad teams, they can still shine, but you're not going to win anything. But they can be the finishing touches on a good to great team. They can be the polish. They can, so Saquon Barkley, not the level of talent, but
okay.
But Jhoan Duran, and the Twins have been a playoff team in his tenure. I don't want to act like the Twins have been just.
I get the idea though,
but from what they did today and all the selling they did today, the Twins weren't going to be a very good baseball team. Okay.
Yeah.
He can stand out, and then he can come here and be the finishing touch.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think to go off of your point, I know I see Phil, and I know Phil was very excited, hoping for Stephen Kwan, as was I. Kind of talked myself into it over the last 2 hours, which I shouldn't have, because I knew after the Bader signing we were most likely done. Shame on me for getting too excited there and jumping the gun. But I think that's the difference between myself. I think you're way closer to my side than a majority of Philly fans that are upset.
Yeah.
Because when I say the terms finishing touches on a great team, I guarantee you, out of the 150 people live right now watching, there's a bunch that are scoffing at me. There's a bunch that are laughing at me. What team is he finishing up? And I think that's the disconnect from today and a week ago, is where we came in at this deadline at this point. I got news. I tweeted this earlier. The Phillies were World Series contenders before today. Contenders, not favorite. I'm not saying they're favorites. I'm not saying they're top 2, top 3. You got the Dodgers. You see what the Mets did. Knocked us out last year. Add Soto. Go out and do everything they did today. The Padres are going for it, bro. The Mariners improved greatly today. Their lineup is disgusting. You have the Yankees. That said, I'm not saying the Phillies are World Series favorites, but when you list out teams, playoff teams that you see getting to the World Series, without a doubt, the Philadelphia Phillies are in that conversation. So to say they're not contenders was always silly to me. I think there's people out there that legitimately think the Phillies are maybe a playoff team. What did you tell me before we went live? Not that you had to tell me that fact, but not only are they a half game out of the National League East heading into August 1st, how many games are they? Back. from the National League as a whole, Scotty?
3 games back in the National League right now. The Phillies are. Yeah.
But as Brian would tell you, they're garbage. They stink. You guys just have different terminology for stink and trash than I do. So I think that's where a lot of people get disconnected, because I think this Phillies team is a lot closer to contending before today and yesterday than a lot of people were at. And then with the Duran ad, I think that pushes them even closer. I see what the Mets did. I see what the Padres did. I know what the Dodgers are, and adding Alex Call makes them even better. They're in that group.
To be fair, to your point about Saquon Barkley, I imagine these same people would have said the Eagles were not contenders until they got Saquon Barkley, right? After that, what was it, 23-24 season?
Yeah.
Jalen, turns the ball over a bit much. The offense flusters out towards the end of the season. You lose to Tampa Bay. If you don't add Saquon, and even with adding Saquon, I still don't believe everybody was on the Eagles train last season.
When we were 2-2, when we were 3-2, when we were 4-2 this year, and just beat the Browns, and Nick Sirianni's yelling at the fans at Lincoln Financial Field, was anyone sitting here calling the Eagles Super Bowl contenders?
I don't think so, man.
I don't recall. I wasn't. I didn't want Nick Sirianni back on the bus after New Orleans. That may show you all you need to know about my knowledge. I don't know. But I was not in the mindset that the Philadelphia Eagles were the best team. So that's my point. You have to just let it play on. And I know Brian loves the troll. So I'll let his post get up here.
I do want to ask you a real question about the Duran acquisition.
Yeah.
How do you think this reshapes the bullpen, the closing situation? Like, where does it shift guys that were previously closing? Who do you think stays in the actual bullpen rotation?
So this is the biggest thing for me, because we talk a lot about the starting pitching and how it's arguably probably the best rotation in baseball, right? And even if you just go 3 in the postseason and you push, Luzardo, Maton, Nola, whatever you want to do to the bullpen, and you go Wheeler, Sanchez, Ranger, those guys can get you through 7, into the 7th, etc. And then you get into that game plan of you need 3 guys. And now the Phillies will have more than 3 guys, but you need 3 guys. Jhoan Duran is the closer. I know I shouldn't be screaming this, but if Rob Thompson, you're listening, there are no other situations, unless you need him to throw 4 outs, unless you need to bring him in the 8th with 2 outs and bases loaded to get out of something, and then he comes back out for the 9th. Jhoan Duran does not need to be on the mound prior to that. He is your guy. He is your closer. Strahm and Kerkering are your 2 setup guys. Lefty, right, whatever the lineup dictates in that particular moment in the 7th and 8th. Those are your guys. They also added a David Robertson, who's going to come in soon, who I don't think's given up a run in Lehigh Valley since throwing a couple different innings on a couple different nights in the past week. That's another guy that's going to be in a setup spot. Think about it. If you have a rotation that can get you through 6 into the 7th, you don't need 6 guys in the bullpen. You don't need to be relying on a Lazar. I know Tanner Banks has been good. You don't need a Tanner Banks. Like, obviously, these guys are going to be in the bullpen. They're going to make the postseason roster.
But once you shorten
guys
that,
you're hopefully relying on in tight spots because what you did with Duran.
Yeah, no.
You had the 3. You had the 3. It's you had the 4, honestly. It's Robertson, Strahm, Kerkering, Duran.
Gotcha. And you mentioned Nola. I mean, I did hear some rumblings that he went. What is it? Is it the 30 day?
Well, I believe that got canceled today because of the weather.
Okay.
So he didn't throw.
He was set to throw. That's what I thought. But nonetheless, I agree, man. I think it was more of, and we could talk about the hitting, because obviously that's where Brian wants to go.
Put Brian's comment to fucking bed, please.
The Bader trade. This is the guy that the Phillies. They've been linked since Dombrowski came over. Obviously, you mentioned that earlier. He's a 31-year-old, and we got a $10 million mutual option for 2026. He's 258 average, 12 home runs, 38 RBIs, 10 stolen bases. I saw the home run specifically already matches what he had for the whole season last year. And obviously was one of Minnesota's, primary outfielders. So I'm curious on your thoughts there. How does he fit into this Phillies lineup, the outfield? How's that all shifting here?
It's underwhelming, especially when you see, well, I don't want to take it too far because a guy like Steven Kwan wasn't moved. A guy with upside and power like a Luis Robert wasn't moved. Yeah. And Adolis Garcia wasn't moved. So you look around the outfield, you go, okay, Cedric Mullins, older, bad defender, better hitter than Harrison Bader, right? Who else got moved today in the outfield?
What's the one that really burns you, if there is one? What's the one that you,
as a bat,
whether it's you wish that team didn't get them, or bat, just a bat and outfield?
Eugenio Suarez was always the goal for me. That was the guy I wanted polstered in in the cleanup spot for this roster, for this lineup. Obviously late last night, the Mariners went and snagged him. So that hurt. I think the trade that the Padres went and got a combination of Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano. Now I know there's no spot for Ryan O'Hearn on this roster, so I'm not talking about the package, but that's a hell of a package to get. And Laureano is having a career year. I think he's hitting like 290. So that package is nice. But outside of that, man, that's the thing with who didn't get moved today. Nothing's really, working me up necessarily. Like the Harrison Bader, the name. Yes, I'm underwhelmed. A lot of people are underwhelmed. Harrison Bader does not stink. I need everyone to get that through their head. Harrison Bader is a plus defender out in the outfield. I think he has a 8.3 run save or wins above replacement in the outfield this year. He's hitting 258. He's got 12 home runs. I think he's got just shy of an 800 OPS. He's the best outfielder the Phillies have.
Yeah.
From the numbers, and that's more of a knock on what we had in place. But to act like he stinks and they didn't improve the position, that is silly to me. Now, does it feel Max Kepler to people? Does it feel Austin Hayes to people? The hell does it feel Brandon Marsh of a couple years ago to people? Yeah, it could. But I don't mind it. It makes you better. And here's the twofold part of it. That's why when they're done. Look, I don't know what you're going to get from a young kid in August and have to try to come and compete for a World Series if that's the goal. Yeah. But this feels like Justin Crawford's coming up to play and play every day. So if you were to tell me, okay, you have Nick Castellanos in right, and then you have a combination of Justin Crawford, Brandon Marsh, and Harrison Bader compared to Max Kepler and Johan Rojas and Weston Wilson, yes, you are vastly improved. You can do a lot of different things with the lineup. Crawford can hit leadoff with his speed. Crawford can hit ninth, turn the order around like I proposed on Twitter earlier. He can do a lot of different things. Bader can provide pop. In 2022 with the Yankees in a single series, I think he jacked like 4 home runs. So he does have postseason experience. He also has bad series in the postseason. I'm not trying to, put makeup on this and act like this dude is just is Cody Ross for the Giants in 2010. But he can have moments, right? And so it's a fine move to me. It doesn't push me way further into the World Series ring like I was trying to get, but it helps the team.
Brian said it's a frat house. Maybe they
Brian
can do.
Says they have too many white people.
Keg stands. He has been saying that for a while, but no, I get where you're coming from. I guess when we look at the end of the day, when you look forward, right, and you think about where the Phillies are going, is it enough?
Yes. From a Phillies standpoint, I'm not. I am not focused on who the Padres went out and got. I'm not focused on who the Mets went from a Phillies standpoint, where their roster was and what they added. Are they good enough to be considered in the group, in the talent pool, to go for a World Series? The answer to me is simple. It is yes. It was that way heading into the season. It was that way heading into last season. It was that way heading into the season before. From 2022 on, this team has instantly become World Series contenders. Are there teams that are more well put together, that seem more dangerous? Yes, of course. But they are in a position to compete for one. And one of the game's best closers, without a doubt, no matter how frustrated you are with the lineup, one of the game's best closers damn sure puts you closer to that goal.
And I think, as I'm thinking back to your comment about Steven Kwan, and obviously it would have been a great addition. That would have made the deadline an A+, right? What would you have had to give up to get a player like that?
Right?
And would the fan base be okay with that at the end of the day?
Look,
because you bring up Justin Crawford, who knows? I don't know what the level is that you would have to give up to get.
I think it goes further than that for Steven Kwan, because after the Mason Miller trade was announced and the package was announced for the Padres and the Athletics, I don't personally know who the kid in the Padres minor league system was, but I believe it was the number 3 overall prospect in baseball. I could be with their number 3. It seems like it was more than just their number 3. Like, it seems like he was one of the guys in minor league baseball, okay? A report came out after that was the starting price for Steven Kwan and the Guardians from the Padres. Now, if he was the starting point from the Padres, Andrew Painter is damn sure the starting point for the Phillies. And I would imagine Moore was involved in that as well. Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford. Andrew Painter and Aiden Miller. Now,
and that would have set
the
fan base on fire.
Do that to say that this gets you a World Series this year? Maybe, if it guaranteed, but we don't live in a world of guarantees.
Yeah,
so
it wouldn't guarantee it.
You don't do it. But I just wanted to go back to this because I love the jokes that Brian brings, for sure. This is the part, like, Brian, like, I just want to know, like, do you watch the game? Like, do you watch the games? Well, actually, that's a bad question, because I feel like if you watch the games on a nightly basis, that's where you get more frustrated with this team. Stranding runners in scoring position, going through cold stretches, and that's what gets people so fired up. But if you're just a stat checker, I'm confused, like, what the disconnect is between can't hit for shit. Are they an imperfect lineup? Yes. Do they have holes? Yes. Did I want another bat? Yes. Let's go through the numbers real quick, Scotty. They are 8th in runs per game, and that's by decimal points, because the Detroit Tigers, who they play this weekend, are tied for 5th with 4.8 runs per game. The Phillies are tied for 8th with 4.7 runs per game. Point 1. That is a difference from being top 5 and top 8. They are 8th in runs per game. They are 3rd in hits per game. They're 5th in team average, 4th in OBP, top 10 in slugging percentage, which was a major problem a half a month ago. Top 9 in OPS. They're 12th now in home runs, which they were, 20-something not too long ago, and 8th in stolen bases. That's their offense. They are a top 7 to 8 offense in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
With an elite closer and the best rotation in baseball. Do not sit here and tell me that's not good enough to compete.
How confident are you that Rob Thompson, Topper's going to be able to? How confident are you that he's going to do what he's supposed to do with these players? Because I know you said Duran has to be the closer. Is there any concern that he's going to take him out of his element?
Nah, I think that dude just has like two. Like, this isn't acquired. Like, remember when we did acquire David Robertson like 3 years ago at the deadline, and he was like, and we still kind of rotated closers. He would pitch the 8th, he would pitch the 9th. This dude is too. He's too pristine. Yeah. He is too set in stone. That, he's going to come here and he's just kind of be part of the system. No, he is the goddamn system when it comes to this bullpen. So I'm confident in that. The Bader thing's the question, man. And that's part of why I am underwhelmed when it comes to the Bader signing in itself a little bit because, what did I tell you a couple weeks ago? I didn't want a platoon player.
Yeah.
Now, do I think he's going to be better than Austin Hayes was for us last year? Yes. Do I think he's going to be damn sure better than Max Kepler's been for us this year? Yes. But I wasn't looking for a platoon player. I was looking for pop, and I was looking for a guy that can play every day, no matter what the position was going to be. However, again, it's the alternative universe here. If Justin Crawford is basically part of this Harrison Bader ordeal, and Justin Crawford's playing every day, there's your everyday guy, and Bader and Marsh can platoon center field.
Yeah.
Or left field, whatever they decide to do. With
Marsh is doing his latest
right.
His latest hot streak recently,
right?
Great.
He's been great since he's come back from injury.
Yeah.
So
just have to hope, right, with him. But yeah, I think it sounds like a plan, obviously. So where did the Phillies go from here? Like when we look forward to August, what are you looking for? They got 29 games in August. I think they play the likes of the Tigers, the Orioles, the Rangers to start the month. I think they finished the month out with the Mets and the Braves. Where are you at? What are you looking for moving forward as we approach the postseason, man?
Job's very simple, bro. Job's very simple. Just win, keep stacking series. And that's been the biggest knock on them, right? Since June 1st, they're a 500 team. That's what this team is. They're a 500 team. I believe they're 14 games over 500. Scotty, am I wrong, or is that what the standings say?
They are 14.
Those games count over 500. Just June 1st to July 31st. Is that all we count for the sample size? Because my question then is, what if they win? What if they go 5 games over 500 in the month of August, and going into September, they're 19 or 20 games over 500?
Right.
Are we still focused on that they're a 500 ball club from June 1st to July 31st, or does that not matter anymore?
It's
like when the Eagles were 2-2, and you had to let a season play out and things progress. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can't judge a baseball season like a football season. Who the fuck would have thought that? But just keep doing more of the same, man. This team was hitting stride before, obviously, the ugly series loss in Chicago. I know. Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
It's just horrible that series happened as the deadline is hitting. But you know what I mean?
Coming out of the break, you took 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox, and the one you shouldn't have lost because of Jesus Luzardo. And you took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, in which they absolutely beat the dog shit out of the Yankees in the first 2 games, which for all this lineup stinks. 12 runs and 9 runs against the team that represented the American League last year in the World Series. Yeah, this lineup stinks. Just do more of the same, bro. Bryce, there is not, and that's the other thing, Scotty, when people talk about this lineup, and shout out to Chaos Chris, man, because we were going back and forth on Twitter a little bit earlier in agreement, because this team, Scotty, just like all the other World Series contenders out there, is going to go as the money goes. They're going to go as the big boppers go, as Bryce Harper goes, as Trey Turner goes, as Kyle Schwarber goes. Just like the Dodgers aren't winning a World Series if Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts go cold. Just like the Mets won't get back to the NLCS if Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto or Pete Alonso go cold. Just like every other team stars, those guys have to show up. And right now, how they're playing, I will put that trio up against anybody else. Trey Turner is having a phenomenal fucking year. There's nobody scarier at the plate than Kyle Schwarber right now.
Yeah, he's been a monster.
I haven't noticed, because we saw when you were away, Scotty, Bryce might be back. No, Bryce never left. You just didn't give him an opportunity
to just injured.
Heal from coming back off the IL. So those 3 are playing out of their minds. The starting staff is the best in baseball. And you added one of the game's best closers. Yeah, Scotty, I'd say they're a very, very good baseball team.
So what's your final grade?
Ryan likes to call them mid.
What's your final grade for the deadline day for the Phillies?
This is just Phillies. I'm not looking around the league, comparing it. Oh, well, this team did this, so I got to knock my grade down. I would give Dave Dombrowski All right, separated from this, Jhoan Duran is an A++. Harrison Bader is a C+. Overall, I'll give him a B+ for the deadline.
It sounds about fair. Man. In the B range, I would say. Yeah. Like I said, if you get a guy like Steven Kwan, then yeah, it's an A+.
Well, and I think that's important to note, man, that people are so frustrated. And I myself, when the deadline ended and Kwan wasn't a Philly, it sucked. But did Kwan get traded, Scotty?
Right.
Did Luis Robert get traded? Did Brent Rooker get traded? Because I saw some people trying to go get him from the A's. Did Adolis Garcia get traded? These guys didn't get moved. So if you're upset against Harrison Bader versus a Cedric Mullins with the Mets, I mean, it's apples to apples here, man. Like,
once again,
guy has
those names, man. Those names you just listed, I mean, those are costing you your top prospects. Like, there's just no way around that. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, you got to be happy with what you landed.
By the way, I'm setting out a rule right now.
I'm
setting out a rule. Brian Pumper is on probation. He no longer gets his comments troll, funny, true, or not. He no longer gets his comments pulled up. I mean,
you got to see how he acts during the Eagles season.
All I ask for this: if you are joking around,
he's out on the Phillies for sure.
Throw a little bit of seriousness in the conversation, and if you are being serious, I don't respect your opinion at all. This is the Scotty. This is the same guy that said Tanner McKee should be quarterback 1, and then the Eagles won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, if we're going off of that logic, the Phillies are World Series bound.
We gotta, probation until we get into Eagles talk. We'll have to see how he's acting.
No.
He's obviously out on the Phillies, right? We get that clearly.
Brian's on probation until he says something authentic / intelligent in the comments. And either we lost myself or Scotty. Let me check the stream here. Scotty is completely gone. So Brian, I might need your comments now. Let's see. Who do we got? No, I'm still on. Yeah, we lost Scotty over there. So we'll put him in the background for now. All right, so since I did lose my co-host here for a second and I don't have someone else in the comments, which, by the way, there's 170 plus people watching right now. So why you're not commenting, why you're not watching on the YouTube channel specifically, please go over, subscribe, and check us out and make sure to comment. Brian, I'll ask you this in all seriousness, if you'll be authentic for 1 second here. Why are you out on Dave Dombrowski? Like, what did you want to happen over by 6 p.m. tonight? What were you looking for? Do you like Jhoan Duran's not one of the game's best closers? And that wasn't a gaping hole in this Phillies roster that they needed to fill to get better? Like, what did you want him to do that was done elsewhere today? Because, like I said, I can sit here and listen to you. If Steven Kwan went off the board, if Luis Robert went off the board, if some of these other names in the outfield that we were looking at, and we look at their prospects or whatever, well, why couldn't we give that up, et cetera? Because people like to do that a lot. But none of those guys got moved. So again, in the need that the Phillies had to fill, which was a right-handed bat, a corner outfielder, so to speak, again, you're talking the likes of an Alex Call that got moved to the Dodgers. We've got Harrison Bader. Cedric Mullins is playing center for the Mets now. Like, what did you want to happen? He went all in for Duran, but half-assed on the right bat. Should have gotten Suarez. I will concede. I will agree with you. Like, Eugenio Suarez was the dream for me. If those are the prospects, I don't know who Seattle gave up. If that was their list of prospects, That's tough. Again, like the problem I have is we don't know the conversations, right? Like if he called up Arizona and Arizona started the conversation at Crawford or Painter, the issue with Suarez is he's a rental. You were never going to give up top 5, top 6 prospects for this guy. So we don't know where the conversation was led. Maybe their 9, 17th, and 30 prospects are head and shoulders against where our guys are ranked. But I do agree with you. I do agree that after the excitement of Jhoan Duran, I think that's why a lot of people are deflated. I'm somewhat deflated how tonight ended because I did stupidly talk myself in to the Phillies acquiring Steven Kwan or someone, at the buzzer tonight. I saw a couple different people that follow the team, that report on the team, don't think the Phillies are done. The Phillies are going to make another move. And then you see the reports of these other teams in on Kwan, the Astros, the Dodgers, the Mets were in on them. The Padres were in on them. And you see them, they all trade for other outfielders. And it's like, well, if they're getting knocked off the board, we got 50 minutes to go. What are the Phillies cooking up? And I stupidly talked myself into something that was never going to happen. But it would be, so Suarez, I agree with you, but that's it, bro. Like that's the only other thing I can point to that happened today. We got you, brother. Me and Brian are getting along. We're not fighting right now. Better call up the kid. That has to be part of the plan, bro. Justin, like part of the Harrison Bader signing has to be the idea that Justin Crawford is coming up. I'll throw this out there as well. If you didn't see within the 4 freaking hour rain delay that the Phillies had with the White Sox yesterday, Max Kepler was in the lineup. Rain delay occurs. Max Kepler banged up his tricep, got replaced, didn't play. Max Kepler, if I had to guess, is being DFA'd. I would assume it goes something like this. Max Kepler's gone. Weston Wilson set down. I think Kemp stays up, obviously, especially with the Boehm injury right now, and you have Sosa as well. Kemp stays up. I think Rojas gets moved traditionally to that sole bench piece, that late glove out in the outfield. If you need him to steal a bag desperately with the game on the line and pinch runs. But Rojas goes to the bench piece, and your outfielders now from center to left are a combination of Bader, Marsh, and Crawford. But I will say, Crawford has to play every day. Like Brandon Marsh is not the everyday guy. Harrison Bader is not the everyday. If you are going to call Justin Crawford up at this age, at this point of his career, you're going to rocket ship him all the way up while we're chasing a pennant, while we're chasing a World Series title this year with all this pressure. You have to allow the kid to progress and play every day. He has to take his bumps. He has to. He cannot be part of the platoon. He cannot be playing every 3 days at this level. It will not work out. So Justin Crawford has to play every day, and I think that's the other part of the Harrison Bader signing is, all right, would you have preferred, and Ramon Laureano is another guy that was out there, but would you have preferred a Ramon Laureano? I probably still would, but Ramon Laureano versus a combination of Harrison Bader and Justin Crawford coming up. That's the only thing. And I think that's the piece that's still coming. We'll see when they decide to do it. It has to be sooner rather than later. I would not wait until like the late August or early September deadline that they have to try to get people active for the postseason. I would get him up as soon as possible if he is part of the plan this year to get in those at-bats and the reps and see how it pans out. Because to your point, to your distaste of the Harrison Bader move or the lack thereof moves today from Dombrowski, this has to work out. Because here's where I'll go in for it with you, Brian. This is Dombrowski's fault. And I didn't mind the Max Kepler signing. What was it? 1 year, 10 mil in the offseason. I love the Luzardo trade, and the way the season started out was phenomenal. But this, essentially, the holes that the Phillies needed to fill is because Dombrowski didn't do a good enough job in the offseason. You let Austin Hayes go. I'm not banging the table for Austin Hayes to be back here, but you traded for him at last year's deadline. He walks. You signed Kepler. Kepler is an absolute train wreck, and Hayes is hitting the shit out of left-handed pitching this year for a lot of power. You let Estevez and Jeff Hoffman go. You brought in Jordan Romano. Obviously, Alvarado getting suspended is not his fault, but that did happen. He had no security for that. So the moves that he had to make this trade deadline is because the lack of moves and the mistakes he made in the offseason when assessing this team and its needs. And if it doesn't work out with a Harrison Bader, Justin Crawford call up, Dombrowski's in trouble. It's just where we're at. Did he really? How long ago did this drop? I love that, by the way. I know we've been talking deadline for the first 41 minutes here, and we're going to talk a lot more birds, as they're in pads now and training camps underway. Preseason game starts next week. The Hall of Fame game's in an hour, which I know everyone's going to say, oh, who gives a shit? It's football, at least. We say that. We say, oh, I can't wait that football back on the screen until you get the Hall of Fame game. But I absolutely love that the Commanders are having this issue. And if he really does get moved, like that will just be chef's kiss to Washington. Dombrowski just said he believes Crawford won't be able to play. Well, I'm going to go check out Twitter right now. I'm not ignoring. That sucks. The last 15 minutes I spent just talking with you, Brian, kind of sucks. If that's the case. But yes, with negotiations stalled and Terry McLaurin holding out with no progress, the Commanders wide receiver has requested a trade. Here it is. Dave Dombrowski says he believes Justin Crawford is ready to play at the major league level, but he needs to play. And Dave says he is not sure they have the capability to have him play full-time at this time. So somewhere in between. Well, yeah, I don't love that, Brian. I don't love that because are you telling me Johan Rojas still gets a spot? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to continue? Is there going to be a 3-man platoon now? Is it going, instead of calling up Crawford or whatever the other option was, is it going to be Rojas, Marsh, Bader, just constantly rotating left and center? Is that the way it's going to go? Because, or is this another alternative? Yeah, I don't love that. Phillies have acquired right-handed pitcher Matt Manning from the Detroit Tigers. On the Matt Manning trade, he's basically, quote, a gamble. They're sending him down to single A to work with a team. Yeah, well, that does nothing for us, does it? Unless he's considering Harrison Bader an everyday starter, which I still don't love at that point. However, it is what I essentially asked for. Now, if that works out or not, if Harrison Bader can continue hitting well through the month of July into August as he was, will be seen. But I guess if you throw Bader in center, Marsh in left, or vice versa, and kind of allow that to be the everyday thing, but I don't know. I don't love the comments from Dombrowski pulling me down to Brian's level right now. While we're waiting for Scotty to get in, because I think let me see if he texted me. Yeah. As we're waiting for Scotty to come back in, I will say, guys, there's over 170 of you in here right now. One of our better live streams number-wise. Do us a favor. Do me a favor. I'm assuming a lot of you are watching on Twitter, which we're obviously very grateful for. But if you are trying to comment, we can't see your comments come in through Twitter or other apps, we can only see them on YouTube. No, I'm not making that up just to get the subscriber count up. Something with StreamYard. Every once in a while, a random comment will sneak through from an X account. But for the most part, it kind of prohibits them. So if you do want to be interactive, if you just want to help us out by getting the count up, check out the YouTube link. It is in the link tree in our bio on Twitter. Just hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, family, like the video. We greatly, greatly appreciate all of the support. And within the YouTube community, we do from time to time do giveaways. I know Scotty and I were texting about doing one for this upcoming Eagle season as we get closer to kickoff. So if you want to subscribe to be entered to that, you have to check out the YouTube link specifically. Yes, they did get Camilo Duvall from the Giants, right, like literally right at 6 p.m. But I have to call Scotty and just get him on the phone for the last couple minutes of the show. Terry McLaurin and the trade request is kind of blowing up Twitter at the moment, which is just, again, hilarious. Brian, let me ask you this, and anyone else that wants to comment. Would you guys have entertained giving up Andrew Painter at this deadline? Like, was the starting point for some of the bigger moves. And I say no, but again, I always say, like, what really is going to keep me from trying to get that World Series? Like, that is the ultimate goal. But when you're talking about a kid like Painter, who, I didn't say it, but scouts and people call the next Garrett Cole, and you look down the road and Wheeler says he's done in 2 years, and Nola's been a disaster, and Ranger might walk, and Luzardo's got a year left after this, probably won't be back. I mean, your rotation's looking bleak. You just traded Abel, which I'm fine with, but Abel's gone. So you need Andrew Painter to work out. But would you have entertained the idea? All right, I might be ending this live stream by myself. Scotty's laptop may be out of commission. Yeah, it's not looking great, brother. If you're watching, apologies. Yeah. All right. We're going to get out of here. Yeah, Matt Manning's not going to touch this roster, brother. He's I think I read that they're sending him down to single A and try to revamp him, rebuild him back up as a pitcher. I don't know. So that's a nothing move that was just announced by the Phillies. But regardless, I know we disagreed a lot in the beginning, Brian. I do still give this overall deadline a B+ from Dombrowski. The Jhoan Duran move is an absolute A++++ move. Harrison Bader, whether you hate it, you're in the middle. No one should love it, but I'm fine with it. We'll see if he ends up being an everyday guy that Topper wants to keep in the lineup, if they continue to platoon, if Justin Crawford is called up or not. The comments by Dombrowski didn't seem great, but the Birds are practicing, and football is back tonight, so we do have optimism to start looking forward to. If you're not in on the Phillies quite like myself, guys, thank you so much for everyone for hanging out. If you are watching on Twitter, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM Media, peace out, and we will be talking to you guys tomorrow afternoon. Have a great one.